Well, I want to welcome you back to another edition of Surviving and Thriving in a Pandemic. My name is Pastor Sharice Cross. I am your host for today, and we have another exciting and just an informative show today. Today, we are talking about caregiving while Black. Caregiving while Black. Our African American families need support all over on all different levels, but specifically, we're talking about dementia today. I have two dynamic speakers and professors and just professionals in their own rights that are here today talking about a passionate subject that is near and dear to their hearts. I have Dr. Fayron Epps. She is the assistant professor of nursing at Nell Hopkins Woodworth School of Nursing at Emory. Her research engages churches, their leaders, and members to support people living with dementia. She also works to promote quality of life for African Americans living with dementia and their family, caregivers, care partners through meaningful and self care activities. And we sure need that. And she has brought along another one of her cohorts, Dr. Stephanie Bennett, was one of the caregivers for her mom who was diagnosed with dementia. Her mom passed away at the age of 85 because of complications of COVID in May of 2020. In her work life, she is the director of patient and family centered care and patient education at Emory Healthcare. She is an adjunct instructor at the Nell Hopkins Woodworth School of Nursing at Emory University. At Emory Healthcare, she leads in the space of amplifying voices of patients, families, and caregivers. She collaborates with providers and staff to develop tools and strategies for help patients, family, caregiver partners, and members of the care team. She also focuses on developing educational tools to help with managing care in the home and in the community. I want to welcome both of you, Dr. Fayron Epps and Dr. Stephanie Bennett, to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my goodness. Thank you both for being on here. It's just so many layers when I think about caregiving. And Dr. Epps and we've had so many conversations just around caregiving. And then when it comes to the faith community, and now we're in the middle of a pandemic. Just so many opportunities here. But let's just start with what does caregiving really mean? What is caregiving? What does that look like?
So I can start off with that, and then maybe Dr. Bennett can add to it because
Yeah.
she served in a role as a caregiver. But I think caregiving, there's just not one universal meaning because
Mm.
everybody looks at caregiving a little bit different. It looks different for each family, for each culture. And so if I had to give a definition that maybe can serve as a common ground for all, it can be providing assistance and support to someone who needs it. And so they have some type of impairment where they're
Mhm.
requiring assistance with activities of daily living, assistance with going to the grocery store. It just all depends on what level of assistance that they need. I'm a caregiver for my kids. They need a
Yes.
lot of assistance. And so, it's
Yes.
just how we want to break that down. And Dr. Bennett, I'll pass it to you where, you can speak
Yes.
more since you served in a caregiving role for a parent.
Yeah,
Yes. And
I have.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to touch that real quick, but first I want to talk about what dementia is, and then Dr. Bennett, we're going to get to you because it's such a. I want to hear your personal account of what this means. We throw out these words, but I really want to hear this account. So, Dr. Epps, just one more question, and then we're going to go. We're going to go really in. When we talk about dementia, a lot of people hear Alzheimer's, or they hear just loss of activity or loss of memory. Can you just give us a definition, a working definition we can use as we're having this conversation?
That definition, a real definition.
Give us a real one. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so you're right. Many people hear the term dementia and they also hear the term Alzheimer's disease, and that is used interchangeably. But just for a little clarity here, dementia is the big umbrella term, and they have several types of dementia or several causes of dementia, and Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause, and so that's why you hear that term interchangeably. And as it relates to, well, goes back to what you said, Pastor Cross, well, what is dementia? Dementia is more than just memory loss. All right, it is impairment as it relates to your cognitive abilities, and so that it does include memory, but also problem solving, decision making. It also has impairment as it relates to your emotions. And so I share that because if you think about, if you have impairment in those areas, imagine what the signs and symptoms will be. So it goes beyond just memory loss. I cannot remember. Again, decision making, um, judgment, emotions. So if you just kind of think of it like that, Dr. Bennett, anything you want to add to that?
Well, and I think when you start to think about, what you provided as a definition, that it when you see this in real life and the way that it plays out with our loved ones, their ability to even think about things like walking, and their motor control in some types of dementia are even impacted. So I wanted to just, kind of extend that a little bit to even thinking about motor functions, the ability to, even just get up and walk to the bathroom in and of their own accord. Sometimes you have to remind people what that means and how that needs to look for their situation at home.
So, and I didn't even think about our motor function when it comes to dementia. So, Dr. Bennett, I would love for you to share your experience with your mom, if you could, what that diagnosis looked like, what you noticed, and what that journey looked like for you.
I'll try to give you a short version of that, but what that looked like for me and the rest of my family, because it takes a village. The initial stages for my mom was that, she noticed and we noticed just some of the memory issues of understanding, where things go, how to place some things that she would normally do. She was an extraordinary cook, and her ability to even understand where to put dishes and things of that nature kind of changed. Along that journey, some of her functions changed as well. Her ability to, her decline moved to her ability to even feed herself. So sometimes the plate would be right in front of her and she wouldn't necessarily know what to do with the utensils. So we would help feed her. And then, as things progressed, as I mentioned, we had to bring caregivers in to help us with caregiving, so that I could continue to care for my young children and continue to work. But we brought caregivers in because we got to a stage where mom could no longer be left by herself in a safe environment. And we had to do things like coaching her with going to the bathroom. Let me help you stand up. And this is, because sometimes she would just say, I can't remember how to get out of bed. And so just some very simple, basic coaching was needed to say, you move your legs this way, and then you stand up, and then I'll help you with the next few steps. So really just taking it one day, one step at a time. And, with my mom, There were times that she didn't recognize who I was. But her long-term memory was intact. And you have to start to appreciate people where they are. I'm the youngest of 9. I came on the scene at a certain place in my mom's life, and I had no context for what she went through as a child. But I got to help relive some of that with her. That was like a golden experience for me. As she talked a lot about her years of growing up, from her young years to getting married to having her first kid. Those were things that she could remember. And I couldn't participate in that as her last child, but she brought me into that. And, during her stages of dementia where she could only recall that long-term memory. So hopefully that just gives you a little bit of context of the life that we lived.
We want to talk about the ALTA program, which is you founded as the only nurse-led dementia-friendly congregation program.
We received some funding, and it's with the Georgia Geriatric Workforce Enhancement Program for us to really develop this program and support Black churches. And when I support them, I want to make sure that they have what they need in place, the knowledge, the resources, and the tools to support their parishioners. And I want to make sure that our leaders are equipped, and also the congregation is equipped, so they'll know if someone brings their mom to church, they're not going to be looking at them side-eye. They will be more supportive.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
With the environment that we're in, with limited inventory, there's not a lot of options out there, and people are making decisions to purchase pre-existing properties that may need work. Some of these pre-existing properties have been flipped by investors who put minimal amount of money into the investment of making it look pretty, and then you buy it and it's a lot worse than you anticipated. So I'm looking forward to the questions today. Hope I can answer as many as possible.
Caregiving is not just about one solo person, it is communal. Working with someone who's living with dementia becomes communal. And so can you talk about what that looked like for you?
I can. For us as a family, my mom was the glue, if you will. And so for my siblings and my father, it took all of us coming together, and it wasn't an easy coming together. Sometimes there was a lot of disagreement in what needed to be done. But when it came to my mom and the things that she needed to improve her outcomes, we came together and made it happen. And so there was a point in time where my mom moved in with me and my husband and my children. And we made a decision, a conscious decision, intentional decision, that we would do whatever it took to care for her. And I can tell you that we went into that journey not knowing what we didn't know. And I had to reach out for help. I had to reach out to one of my sisters and said, I can't do this by myself. Because my mom didn't sleep much at night. And I had to get up the next day and go to work. And I could only do that for so long. So I reached out to my family and they helped, and we brought caregivers in as well. But that need for respite was real.
Mhm.
And the need to reach out even beyond my family members. Like I said, we had paid caregivers. But I was fortunate enough that one of my sisters and several of my sisters and family members would come and get my mom and take her home with them and care for her. So it was all hands on deck, and we did what we needed to do, to take care of my mom. But I was not too proud to say, guys, this is tough. And I cannot do this alone. I need your help. But, in thinking about the caregiver course that we've developed,
Yes.
the tools and information that's in there would have been something that would have been great for not just me, but every member of my family to leverage as we think about managing at home, our own self-care, and then understanding how to navigate in the healthcare system. I'm a healthcare worker, I'm a nurse, but when it came to coordinating care for my mom, that was something completely different. And then, sometimes when people find out, well, you are a caregiver, they assume that you know more than you know, and that you have more access to more resources than you do. No, we all have a very level playing field there and need understanding and education.
So good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your process and what it's been like for you. And even we're going to talk about this Caregiving White Black program right now, because everyone doesn't have 9 siblings or 8 siblings to network with, or a large support system, or even the wherewithal of where to start. And I know we have some viewers here today that are working with someone who has dementia and may not have these resources. So could you both, let's start about this program. Let's talk about what this course provides, this Caregiving White Black, and that support that you offer families that are working with someone who's living with dementia.
Yeah, and I'll start. And I think, Pastor Cross, I just want to give a little backdrop to why we developed it, because I think hearing Dr. Bennett's her journey, we know it takes effort. It's a village, and it can be stressful, but it also can be a good experience on how you look at it. And there's several caregiving programs that are out there, education courses that are out there for general caregivers and for dementia caregivers. But we felt it was necessary to do something that was really tailored and spoke to the Black caregivers experience. And the reason for that was, as I'm doing work in the community, I was approached by more than one caregiver saying, Dr. Epps, that information is good you gave me. That course was all right, but it didn't speak to what I'm going through. It didn't speak to the neighborhood that I live in and how there's no resources there. Because a lot of courses, they give you these resources and they just leave it up to the caregiver to reach out. But, for those that are Black in the U.S., and we know this, especially during the pandemic, a lot of inequities we experience, and the pandemic has heightened that and has highlighted that. And I thought, working with Dr. Bennett and other members of her team, we thought it was very important to really let's address that, right? Let's take into account those unique experiences of being Black, living in America, and caring for someone living with dementia. So we're taking the foundational information that you need to manage your home life, to navigate the healthcare system, and to take care of yourself. But we're doing it through the a lens of a Black American, and making sure we speak to some of those things as it relates to what's in our neighborhood, where those resources are. Some of those things that we know, I still don't understand that much about payer source and insurance. And I'm also a nurse, and been a case manager and things like that. And so we took the things that we know that has impacted the Black community and that there is a lack of knowledge there, and we really address it. Any of the taboos that are out there as stigma, we address it in this course head on. And I just, it's a beautiful course. That's all I have to say. Like Dr. Bennett said, she wished this was available when she was active on her journey. And, I think it's just something that the entire family should take part in. So not just someone that says I'm the main caregiver, because also the person that comes in to help once a week I think this is valuable. So, because it does take a village, and for everyone to know what goes in it. And we have several modules, as you can see on the slides. We have the introduction module, but then we break it down to dimension the Black community, right? And then how you manage home life.
Yes.
Living in a Black household, how are we going to manage this? Manage caring for our family member or friend. And, we cannot speak, Dr. Bennett, that navigating the healthcare system, I learned from putting this course together, what are those things? And we brought in healthcare professionals, Black healthcare professionals, physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners. We brought in Black caregivers. We brought in Black individuals that are living with dementia to do videos to speak on topics that caregivers had told us that they needed more information on. And it's beautiful. I have to tell you that these physicians, they kept it real. They said, Dr. App, what you want me to do? I said, I want you to keep it real. Keep it real. Tell me and tell all of our caregivers that's going to be taking this course what you want to tell your patients that walk in the hospital, but you can't because of the constraints of your work and the policy. Tell us. And I mean, they let it loose, y'all. And the whole goal is to empower our caregivers. So when we do interact with the healthcare system, we're coming with some knowledge, right? You can't pull, no, I know better, right? Dr. Bennett told us, and Dr. Williams said this on this video and stuff like that. So we know better now, right? And so we can have better interactions. When you're at home, now you're going to have the tools. Self-care. We're not going to forget about self-care. Dr. Bennett brought that up.
Yes.
We talk about mental health in this course, how important it is. And I have to say, so many people that are caring for someone with dementia, they let themselves go. And they end up passing away before the person that they were caring for. And we want to stress, we have to take care of ourselves. And we try in this course, we talk about different elements, spiritual, mental health, respite, just giving examples and resources, real resources, that people can use, and relevant resources that can really speak to our lifestyle. And I know, being Black in America, we're just not one group, and all of us have our own different lifestyle, different culture where we come from. And so we've tried our best to incorporate that in the course, where at least you'll find one resource that will speak to you, if not several.
Let me tell you the topic for real. It's my vision board isn't working. How many of you all can identify with that already? My vision board isn't working. How do you accomplish the goals that you set before you?
This is my big one. I set myself up for success in all of these things. So it may be researching and gathering information. It may be like, if I'm trying to be healthy, I'm going to have a plan to go to the farmer's market on the weekends. If I say I'm not going to date no more not good people, then I'm going to make those phone calls. I'm saving them in the phone as do not answer. Like, I set myself up to be successful.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Today we are talking about caregiving while Black. Specifically, we're talking about dementia today.
For those that are Black in the U.S., and we know this, especially during the pandemic, a lot of inequities we experience. And the pandemic has heightened that and has highlighted that. And I thought, working with Dr. Bennett and other members of her team, we thought it was very important to really let's address that, right? Let's take into account those unique experiences of being Black, living in America, and caring for someone living with dementia.
I am so proud of you two sisters, two doctors, who took your experience, passion, and background to formulate this jewel of a tool, you guys. I pray you guys really register for this. We're going to give you the information in a minute. Register for this tool, and not only you, your family, because we can change the trajectory of our community. We don't have to suffer. We don't have to. We can do this a better way. There's a better way. There's information out here, tools out here. And like Dr. Epps just mentioned, they have got the best of the best.